Hey everybody, we're going to go through programming the Kenwood Nexedge radio series. It's not as bad as you think. It can get a little complicated when you start playing with some digital stuff, but we're going to get into that. This is probably going to be a 3-part video series, I think. I'm not going to try not to draw on stuff, but I want to try and cover things and give you some tricks that I've learned. When I got into dealing with this software and these radios, it was trial by fire, and I fought with it, and I figured this all out on my own and figured out a lot of tricks to it. So I had a commenter say basically, hey, I need to try and figure out how to program these things because I'm getting one of these radios and I'm getting the cord. Well, you need more than just the cord. So you need to get, right out of the gate, you're going to need to have 2 pieces of software from Kenwood. The first piece is called the LMC, License Management Client. The second piece of software is KPG-D1N. That is the software used for doing the programming of the radios. And they are intertwined in your computer. They work hand in hand. And you actually have to use the LMC to get your D1N software to work on your computer. To get the D1N and LMC software from Kenwood, you can't just call up Kenwood and say, hey, I want to get this. You're going to need to get it from an authorized Kenwood dealer. It seems most any of them should sell that to you, and it should not be a problem. I had no problem getting it. I got mine through Labtronics down in Catlettsburg in Kentucky, and I've dealt with them, and I've had good luck with them. I've also had other software on another computer elsewhere obtained through URCI. They're up near Chicago. They started off good and then they quickly went downhill. Long story with them. And they tried to bill me twice for a radio that came from them because they screwed up their paperwork and said, well, we can't show that you paid for it, so we're going to bill you again. No, you're not. Because I had to write my bank account. I paid you guys. So because you can't get your crap straight doesn't mean I'm paying you again. We're not going down that road. Labtronics has been very good to deal with. My local, Kenwood shop. We get along great. I am not a Kenwood authorized dealer. This is dealer software, the D1N, the LMC. But the local radio shop that deals with Kenwood, one of them, we get along great. We actually bounce stuff back and forth between each other. We were having problems and they were having problems with software, and we were beating ideas back and forth trying to get it figured out, and finally got a resolve. And we've discussed radio issues and on and on. We actually get along good, so that's a good thing. So to get that software, get a hold of a Kenwood authorized dealer, and you want to get the KPG D1N, which you tell them, if you're trying to program Nexedge series, they should already know that. So you can get that software from the dealer, they'll get it from Kenwood, and they will get a license key for that software. And then they will email you the program, because they have to download it from Kenwood, then they're going to forward it on to you from Kenwood. If you're running antivirus like Norton, it might not like it. You might have to give it an exception. You might have to shut Norton down. Whatever antivirus you're running, you might have to kill it while you get things downloaded, set up, installed. Your mileage may vary. Your license key for your software, safeguard that. Keep it in your email forever. Back it up on a thumb drive. Same goes with your digital keys that you get for radios, P25, Nexedge, DMR. I'm going to mention this again down the road too. Keep those, just in case. So if your computer takes a dump and you need to transfer software to a new computer, or you just choose to anyway, you want that license key for your software because that's what proves you are an authorized user of that software. So you're going to need that so that Kenwood can authorize that software to be installed on another computer. Pirating software, it ain't going to happen. This ain't the old days where you had a computer program, then you could duplicate it, and hand it out. Number one, somebody like me who's paid for the software is not going to take my software that I paid for and then hand it out to people for nothing. Not happening. And as I said, you get a software key, right? So my key authorizes my software on this computer to work on this computer. This computer has an ID. Kenwood knows it's on this computer. So if I try and duplicate that software to give to somebody else, and they try and load it on their computer, guess what's going to happen to my computer? Yeah, right? That'd be pretty stupid of me, wouldn't it? All right, so that being said, that's how you obtain your software. Recap it real quick. Get a hold of a Kenwood authorized dealer. If you want, give Labtronics a call down there in Catlettsburg, and most likely they'll hook you up. So you're going to need to get that. Then you're going to need to get your appropriate cable or cables for whatever radio you're programming. I would recommend getting authentic Kenwood cables and not, oh, I'm going to get on Amazon and get these because they're, $20 cheaper or whatever. Can't guarantee them are going to work. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. So if you get cheap knockoffs and something doesn't work, it only works once or twice, and then it takes a dump on you, that's on you. Get the right stuff, right? All right, so for this series, we're gonna start with a completely empty code plug. There's nothing in it. Blank slate, and we're gonna start with a completely deaf, dumb, and stupid radio. I don't even have the radio in hand yet. I should be getting my hands on it any time now. And it's a 5200 portable. And I'm programming it up for a police department. So I do programming for public safety for the most part. Fire departments, police, EMS, whoever. So I'm going to be building up a code plug for that. Now I'm going to take you through some of that. So right from the get-go. All right, here we go. There's a video just a little bit down the playlist about installing digital keys into a Nexedge radio. If you're going to be running DMR, P25, or Nextgen, go watch that video. And it's not hard at all to install keys and to obtain a DMR key, P25 key, or Nextgen key, NXDN key. You're going to get them through a Kenwood dealer. Same, same place you get your software, right? And yeah, they charge you for it. I don't know what a Nextgen key costs. P25, you're probably looking about $500 per key per radio, and that is for one radio. DMR, that's dirt cheap. You're probably looking anywhere between $42 to $50, give or take. Real dirt cheap per radio. And you can get them emailed right to you, and basically you're just going to copy and paste out of a text file, take it over into your LMC, and then you load it into your radio, authenticate the radio, and now that key tells your radio, hey, you're allowed to do DMR now. Hey, you're allowed to do Nextgen. You're allowed to do P25, or whatever keys you load into that radio, and the radio goes, hey, I can do this now. That's all it is. So if you're going to do that, go check out that video. If you're just going to do analog only, then just skip over that video and continue on with this. We're going to get into the D1N software. And the nice thing with the Kenwoods is you can add on whenever you want. So maybe you'll start off with analog. Maybe you'll start off with analog DMR, or maybe you're going to start off with analog P25, something like that. And then down the road, you're going to add in another digital, because you can run two digitals and an analog at the same time. So, we're going to start off with analog here, and then you could program the radio all up to analog and then decide, hey, I got to run P25. You can get a P25 key, load that in the radio, and then program P25. It's very simple. You just add on whenever you need it. You don't have to start at the beginning again. I apologize about having to record the computer screen using a camera, but I don't have the cool software to actually record the screen on the screen. So I'm going to show you the LMC real quick. This is the program that is used for doing our digital keys, and this is also the program, like I said, that's used to authenticate your D1N software, which is what we're going to get into next. So on a D1N, they recommend to right-click it and do Run as Admin. So here we have a blank code plug. She is done dead. So if you check out the file name right up here, we've got kpgd1n.dat. We are going to change that in a minute. Right below it, right here, we have NX5200 portable KF, and then VHF 136, 174. Pay attention to this before you start doing anything. Reason I say that, if you're doing another model radio like a 5700, for example, and you don't pay attention to that, then it opened up on a 5200, and you get in here and you start doing a bunch of entries and crap, and you know, let's say you spend 30 minutes, an hour or whatever working on building a code plug, and then you realize you screwed up and was doing it for a portable instead of the mobile. Yeah, you're gonna kick yourself. So pay attention to that, and I'm gonna show you how to change it. All right, so let's say we want to change it, which I told you we're gonna be doing a 5200, but let's say we wanna change it to something else. Click right there on product information, okay? And it brings up a screen. So here we go. Model name right there. There you go. There's everything this software will do. Okay. So if you wanted the 5700 mobile KF, there you go. Boom. And then you can turn on your digital functions. And this is all going to stay blank at the moment because all this is turned off. So check this out, all right? And when we go back to the 5200, I'm going to show you this personality thing. So let's go back to the 52, because that's what we're doing. This is the one we want. 5200 portable KF. Yep. See, you can't change that. Now, zone channel format. You have channel table and personality. You want personality. If you select channel table and you start setting it up under that format, you're gonna be hating life. Trust me. So make sure that's personality. All right, so this radio that I've got coming in is going to be DMR. So we're going to turn on DMR. If we had Nexedge or P25, we can only select one or the other. You just do the same thing, turn it on. But we don't have those keys, so it's just going to be that. In the product information, for this one, we're going to do DMR conventional. We also will have 4 digital encryption standard keys. So we click OK. Yep. Yeah, that's fine. At this point, my next suggestion would be create your file name. So if you go up to there, click that down, you're going to see Save As. Save As is going to bring up this box. And then save it wherever you are going to save it. I got a bunch of crap in here already. And I got a ton of stuff, so I have it organized in folders. So this one I'm just going to dump in my main folder of kpgd1n. And notice we don't have that as a file name anymore. So I've got it called KS5200. And I hit save. And notice up here now, our file name is now KS5200. So if our computer crashes, we close this program out, whatever, I can easily come back to this file and work on it. Now, as you're working along here, you know, every few minutes or whatever, go up and click the little disk, and it's just going to save your work under that file name. Okay, so over here in our root tree, that's what I'm going to call it, this is where we start doing everything. First thing we need to do is go into personal, start doing our personalities. And we can build as many systems as we want. The way I do it is I build my systems basically the same way I'm going to do my zoning. And when we do our zoning, we can grab from other systems. So I can grab out of system 1, system 2, system 3 and jam them into a single zone if I want to, and I'll show you how to do that. That's why this is going to get a little bit lengthy. So system 1, let's say, is going to be analog. So system information, up here, analog, conventional. All right, global ID. If you're doing an MDC 1200 push-to-talk ID, this is where you're going to enter that. So whatever it may be. These are options. You can scroll all the way through, or you can enter it in like, 1256. If somebody's running an ID 1256, something like that. All right. And if it's global ID, it's going to identify on analog as 1256 throughout the entire radio, all your systems, because you're saying global ID. If you uncheck it, it's just going to do it in this system 1. All right. So for this case, it's nothing. We don't even have an ID. So system 1, for here we can call like home zone. Actually, no, we'll call it PS analog, public safety analog. Nothing says you can't come back and change this down the road if you want to. Your personality features, next block down. This is where, in this system, and this is going to be specific to every single system, but these are your defaults, and if you change your defaults, it's going to be that for this system, and this system only. So a timeout timer, 1 minute. So if somebody's transmitting for 60 seconds, it's going to shut off the transmitter. You can do a timeout timer pre-alert. So whatever, like at 50 seconds in, so 10 seconds before the 60 seconds, it'll give you an alert. Hey, shut up. You set all that right in here. You can adjust your squelch level, and that squelch level is for this system. So system 2, system 3, system 4 is automatically going to be at 5, even if you set this at 1. Pulling down through. Right now, your default PTT ID type is DTMF. You can change that to MDC 1200. Just click on it, and then boom, you have MDC 1200. This is where you set all that up. And here you're going to see MDC 1200 ID list number 1. We'll get to that. Remember in the root tree I said way over here, MDC 1200. We'll get there. All right. And emergency alarm, if you're actually going to set that up with an ID and all that. For this area, they don't even have them. They don't exist. All right. So this is all going to be specific to you and what you're running, if anything like this. So that's where you're going to find that. So now we'll go back up here. Now we go to personality. We have one personality right there, per 1. And this is where you actually start doing your frequency entry, PLs, and all that jazz. Well, we need more than one channel in there, right? So with per 1, highlighted, go up here, click add to last. You can see 2 pop up, and just keep doing that over and over and over until you get however many you want in that system. Personality 1. All right, I'm going to do our statewide car to car here, which is 15, oops, fat finger right here, 54.695. I'm trying to look around the camera here also. Then we can tab down 154.695. Okay. Channel type analog, yep. Transmit power high, medium, low. You can set that right there to whatever you want. Talk around key, you have that option. We'll get to that in key settings later. But if this is unchecked, you would not be able to have a talk around if this was a repeater. We'll get to that. If you have PL tones or DPLs, here is your receive, here is your transmit, decode, encode. Pretty simple, straightforward, just like anything else. This is only going to let you do 12.5K. If you were doing a ham frequency, you could select 25. I will show you that later on. And if you want busy channel lockouts, PTT, to do beginning a transmit, end a transmit, or beginning and end a transmit, you could turn that all on right here, and you'd have to have your IDs set up. All right, so to name it, this is what we call it around here, SWIC, SWCC, statewide car to car. And now over here, I can just toggle down here, and you notice that has popped up statewide car to car. Now I can do like nationwide car to car, 155.475, tab it, 155.475. Same thing, because it's a simplex. I don't really have to do anything here. That's it. Just name it. NWCC. I can click on my next personality down, and NWCC pops up right there. Now let's say you want to do something for somebody that's receive only, that they can't transmit. So let's just punch in a frequency like 165.3, get on there, 165.365. And let's say we don't want this radio to transmit on that. It's going to be a receiver only. Just blank that out. That's all you got to do. And move on. Name it whatever you want, just like normal. You can put a tone here on your receive, and you cannot do anything with your transmit. It's grayed out as you see, but you can still have a tone squelch on your receiver. It's just that simple to make the radio a receiver. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make another system. And then we're going to do some repeated stuff. And I'll come back and work on more of this. I'm not going to sit here and show you how to do a whole bunch of just redundant stuff. All right, so another system. So we want to get system 2 to come up here now, right? So go up to like system information, click on that. All right, so yeah, all right, because it's blank. System information. Now go up here and click add. It says add system, system type. Now here is where you can select what you want to do. If you had Nexedge or you had P25, that would be in the list. Obviously we don't. So if we want DMR, we'd click DMR. We could change it even if we screwed it up, because you're going to get this little box right here. So let's do another analog conventional. And now we're going to have another system pop up underneath. There we go, system 2. So let's click on system 2. Now we can collapse this one, get it out of, whoops, clicked the wrong one. We can collapse that one, get it out of the way. System information, we can name this. All right, so we're going to call this one Bangor Region Nets. Now I'm going to get to doing, I'll show you how to do a P25 setup, and I'll show you how to do a DMR setup. The P25, I can show you in my code plug how to do that. All right, so same thing here. If you're doing IDs, all this is all redundant, and that's going to be specific to you. So personal features, again, same thing here, whatever you're doing. So personality, we'll stick a couple in there. Now, if you happen to screw up and you want to get personalities in order, so let's say you want to get something like in between here or whatever, you can click here and then click add. And up here where it says add to last, click insert. And then OK. It gave me 2 2s, but it pops it in here instead of popping it on the end. Having 2 2s is fine because it's going to get renamed anyway. All right, so we're going to do a analog repeater. This is what we got. Main state communications net. And this is the analog side. You've got the gray dispatch zone, Augusta, Bangor, and Holton. So I'm going to be putting all those in here. And they all have a 162.2 PL on transmit and receive. So I made the Bangor zone first. So we're going to start in alphabetical order. It's going to be bald. So that's what we got right there. So bald mountain. It's 157.5 on the receive. And the transmit is 159.27. Just like that. So there's your repeater pair. Now this is where your talk around key would come in handy later. So you could talk around that repeater if you needed to. So you would be transmitting and receiving on this frequency here if the repeater took a dump. All right, so in analog, I told you we get a 162.2 tone on both sides. So right here, you don't even have to scroll down. You can just type whatever you want. 162, it starts coming up, right? And right there, it's already assuming we're going to have the same thing. If it was a different match, like 192.8, I can just go like 19. It's coming up. There you go. You can have 2 different tones. Or you can go and do DPL. Whatever you're going to do, you can set it up in there. Very, very, very simple. So let's go back to our 162. So there you go. You got your frequency pair. You got your tone in, tone out. Just like that. That's all you got to do. As far as entering frequencies, like you see here on Beaumark, it says decimal 6575. Not a problem. Just type it in just like you see it. Radio will accept it. Not a problem. System information, add, system type, DMR conventional. Okay. It's going to pop up right here, system 3, just like we did before. And you notice we've got it over here, system type. Well, if you realize, oh crap, that's not what I wanted, well, you can go right there and you can change it right here. Not a problem. So DMR conventional, we're not doing MDC 1200 because that's analog, right? But we have now, that we didn't have before, unit ID, right? So here is where we're going to have to put in a DMR ID. So whatever it is for you, whether you're running ham or public safety, if you should have a unit number, radio ID number, something. Around here they kind of don't do that, so I'm creating my own. They just fly by night. So anyway, a unit ID number, and this one's going to be 1001. And then unit ID name, we can put somebody's name in there. System 3 is going to be PS, public safety, DMR. I can jump back here. This analog box doesn't mean a thing. Right here, we're really not going to do anything with that for what we're doing. But you might be in a system where you can do a remote stun and kill for the radio. So if your radio gets stolen or whatever, you can kill the thing remotely. That's kind of cool, but we're not set up for that here. And then all this auto dial, telephone, and connect. Most likely you're probably not going to do anything with that either. Then we go to personality, and it's going to be basically the same idea as before, except we're not going to have PL tones. So like this box here, we can just shrink it down. Now we go to color codes and slots and select call on PTT. So we're going to get all this in a little bit, but there's other things we need to do first before we can do that. All right, so I'm just going to breeze you through this real quick. I'm throwing in a simplex frequency here, and it's showing channel type, transmit type, DMR. Yep, that's what we want. Minimize the analog. Now we get down here is where we select our color code. So whatever your color code is going to be. Busy channel lockout if you want that, however you want to set that up. You can have it so it will allow TX all the time or chasing the color code. Then slot selection, you can just leave it on 1. Now down here, select call and PTT. You notice we have nothing off. That's our only option, right? The reason that is the only option is because we need more information. So I'm going to show you how to set that information up right now. This is where we need to do our group IDs. Digital runs on numbers, and we convert those numbers into aliases, into names, IDs, so on and so forth. So we're going to name this personality, and then we're going to go make a group number, a talk group number, and then we will be able to do something here and put information in here so the radio knows what to do with it. So we've named it TAC1. Now we're going to come over here to DMR over in our tree. Click on that. Go to Group ID List. Now here is going to become a talk group number. You can scroll through like this or just type it in like so. And we can call it whatever we want because we're building this up for ourselves. You know, fire, EMS, law. If you're doing this for your own agencies or whatever, then, you know, it can be whatever you want. If you're doing it on somebody else's system, you got to go with what they have for you. So this agency that I'm programming for, this is all brand new to them, so I'm creating all this for them. So I can do whatever the hell I want, which is pretty cool. So we're going to call it TAC1, make it simple. And any other DMR IDs I wanted to do down here, I mean, I can do whatever I want. I can have, you know, 57 in there and call it Bite Me, you know. Whatever you want to do. Now noticed, you know, list number, group ID list, and it's number 1. So if we had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down the list, that's how we're going to make our reference here. So we can go back to our TAC1 personality that we made. And now we go back down to our select call on PTT. And now watch what happens. Group call. Remember, it was just off before. ID list number 1, ID 44, and the ID name TAC1. How about that? And like I said, if we had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we could punch it in here or just scroll through right here, and then the ID number and the ID name would change appropriately as we went through till we had whatever talk group ID number we wanted for this personality. If we notice all the way at the bottom, we have this little box, encryption settings, multi-key list number, which right now we can't do anything with it. Over here in your tree, scroll down and you're going to find encryption. Now this radio, these Nexedge series, if you have the AES module, the Advanced Encryption Standard module, you can do AES. This radio does not have that. It comes with 4 DES, Digital Encryption Standard keys. So you can use 4 of those at once. All right, so what we're gonna do, we can bypass all this other stuff. We've got DMR here. And if we look down, we hit the bottom of the screen, all right? So we're way down near the bottom. So we're running DMR. And now we're gonna pick a key. All right, you've got 32,767 keys. So let's say we pick key number 3. You can name it something else if you want. Call it key 1, all right? We'll just call it key 1. All right, so you've got that set. Now we go back to, well, actually I'll give you another example. Let's pull another one in here. Let's do key 2. And we can do another one, key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, something like that, just some random stuff, all right? So we've got 3 keys in there, in the list. So now we're gonna go back to our personality and set one of them up. We are no longer grayed out. We can do something with this. Look at that, encryption, turned on. Multi-key list number. So this refers to one of the 3 we just set up. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we know we can pick key number 3. And there it is. It's set. So with the encryption, whatever radios are in this system, you're going to have matching frequency. You're going to have matching time slots. You're going to have matching color code. You're going to have a matching encryption key. Everything has to match up, or it's not going to work. So that's how that goes. So if I program mobiles, program other portables, and so on and so forth, if you screw up and you don't have a matching encryption key, or you screw up the color code or whatever, it ain't gonna work. So that's something you gotta be aware of. Let's do a DMR repeater real quick. This is pretty easy. So 155.655. So there's our receive, and then our input of 153.235. So there's our pair, no different than any other repeater. Talk around key is automatically checked. Analog, we can just collapse that. It'll suck DMR right up. Then our color code, whatever it may be, so we'll say it's color code 8. Busy channel lockout, you can call busy channel, allow TX. So however you program this, if you're receiving and you have this checked, your radio will be able to transmit. If you have this checked, it will not be able to transmit. Slot selection. This is very, very, very important. So on a DMR repeater, you have 2 time slots. You should know this if you're doing any programming. You should already know that. So whatever talk group you're on, you need to know, is it on time slot 1 or time slot 2? If you pick the wrong slot, it ain't gonna work. So we'll say this time slot is time slot 2. And we're gonna set up the same thing. This is just a fake one. So we're just gonna pretend this is also the TAC. Then we're going to do a group call, and same thing here. You just scroll through the list that you've already made down in your DMR group call list and pick whatever ID number it is, and there you have it. All right, we've covered quite a bit so far. I don't know how long this is getting, but it's getting there. So here's the basics of getting your analog set up. We haven't even got to zoning yet, or scan lists, or any of that type of stuff. So yeah, we've got into entering frequencies, we've got into PL tones, DPL tones, showing you how to get to all that, naming stuff, building systems. You just got to get in and play around, but I'm just trying to get you the general idea on where your general basic stuff is that you need. And we're going to be doing a lot more. You know, we've hit on DMR, and we're going to be doing some more DMR here in the next video, as far as like setting up individual ID list. So we're going to shut this one off here, and you can digest this one, and this is a good place to start. And then we'll move on into DMR individual IDs, and we're going to start getting into two-tone paging. We're going to start getting into zoning. We'll get into MDC 1200 IDs. We're going to get into scan lists, settings, all kinds of fun stuff like that. This is the way you just get confused. Oh yes, we also hit on encryption here too. The encryption is not that hard to set up, really. So we'll see you in the next one.